What's going on, guys? Magdallan here. I am back after a fairly long hiatus from making content for the channel. About halfway through Crucible League, I kind of knew I needed a break. And I did make a character in Ancestor League and messed around with the mechanic a little bit, but it wasn't really a league for me. I didn't enjoy it. And so I took most of that league off as well. And so today I thought I would kind of update you on what I'm going to be doing with the channel going forward over the next several weeks. And then I just want to give you a few tips for managing burnout in the game. Over the last 6 or 8 months, there's really been a lot of new players coming to the game. And now that some of those folks have played a league or two, the burnout is going to begin setting in. So I figured I would share a few tips about that. So I have been very busy the last couple months. I've been doing applications for graduate school and trying to finish a novel, and that has been taking a lot of my time. And I also wanted to play a few other games. I actually did do another playthrough of Elden Ring and enjoyed that a great deal. I'm still wanting to get into Baldur's Gate 3, but I may not do that until the end of this league. And other than that, I've just been really enjoying my time off from the game, and it made a huge difference. I'm really invested now in the new league. I'm enjoying both the mechanic, though I'm not really doing it in maps at this time, and everything kind of feels fresh again. It's the first time I have taken this much time off since, I believe, Scourge League. And so it was really a necessary break for me. And so I league started as Lightning Arrow, and I have already transitioned into Tornado Shot, and that has been going very well. Although I do feel pretty squishy, and maybe it's just my memory playing tricks on me from the last time I played the build, but it feels squishier this time around, even though I have invested a little bit more into defenses than I normally would. Although that is with the caveat that I typically build almost no defenses, so compared to the average person, my character might still be a little bit underinvested in defenses. So as far as what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks, I am hoping to bring you some content focused on sort of mid-range two-player farming strategies. I've noticed that there's not a huge amount of that type of content on YouTube. There's some high-end stuff, and you occasionally hear people mention that they're playing in a group, but there's not really a whole lot of stuff on YouTube, at least that I have found, that is really focused on talking about what builds work well together, how strategies kind of function, how much currency you can expect to make, generally speaking, from working with another person. And so I'm hoping to bring you some videos on those topics. And so, as far as tips for managing burnout with Path of Exile, the first thing is obvious, and that's that just don't be afraid to take a league off. The old trite adage of absence makes the heart grow fonder is definitely true with Path of Exile. I can attest to that after having played, very extensively for many leagues and then finally taking a substantial break. It absolutely helps that when you come back to the game after taking some time off, you'll notice that even some of the things that you didn't enjoy towards the end, once again, have a little bit of intrigue and interest to them. And, just from a physical standpoint, for those of us that are not 18 anymore, it gives your wrists a chance to heal up. Path of Exile is a really damaging game for your wrists, and taking some time to allow for some distance between the repetitive motions is always a good thing. And it gives you a chance to play other games. And then another point would be that taking some time away from the game might help clarify your perspective on what you want out of Path of Exile. And so when you return, you can do so with a more clear idea of the things that you actually want to do, the things that you're willing to spend your time on. And then the next tip is, and I've seen this becoming more of a prevalent ideology surrounding the game, but don't fall for this kind of it's either POG or it's scuffed and worthless binary. And that goes for farming strategies and also for the builds that you're playing. Path of Exile is a game of gray areas of success and failure, and it's more important to find out what works for you than it is to replicate somebody else's vision for what their play experience should be. And it's also good to keep in mind that Path of Exile is a capitalism simulator in a lot of ways. And it's kind of like you're running your own little micro business. And just like in real life, and I can attest to this, my mom ran a bar for over 20 years. Every motherfucker out there is going to think that they know a better way to run your business, to run your shit, than you do. But in the end, you're going to have more fun with the game if you just do it the way that you want to do it and let everybody else just let them die mad. And then the last tip I'll share with you is that you should try and take the long view when choosing which mechanics to farm and which builds to play. So you should maybe ask yourself, how long do you actually plan on playing the league? Or maybe to rephrase it, how long do you want to play the league as far as filling up your time as a hobby? You know, if you're wanting to play 3, 4, 5 hours a day, are you hoping to get 2 weeks out of the league? Are you hoping to get a month and a half? You know, a lot of us don't have a lot of extra cash to buy other games, and so if we get burned out after 2 weeks of the league, you're looking at, okay, I don't have anything to play. Now I have to maybe buy a game that I don't really have the money for. So if you're wanting the league to last you a month and a half, 2 months, or even the entire league, you really do want to take the approach of selecting things to do with your time that are not going to prematurely burn you out. So, you know, ask yourself, if I'm getting frustrated today, will I still want to play at all if I force a mechanic that I'm not enjoying for 3 more days, or for a week, or for 2 more weeks? A less optimal income strategy is going to be better in the long run than if you do something that you just don't enjoy. And so, you know, if you, for example, let's say you go really hard into Expedition at the very beginning of the league and you just force it for 2 or 3 weeks and you make 100 div, 150 div, but then you quit. Okay, well, you made a bunch of currency, you had a strong league start, but if you had played the thing that you wanted to play, which was, I'm just making this up off the top of my head, but let's say you wanted to make a lab farmer, or you wanted to spend time farming breach or something like that, that in the last several leagues has not been as profitable, at least in my experience. But if you play for 2 months and, you know, maybe you only make 120 div or something like that, or 100. So you make a third less money, but you get, you know, 2 or 3 times the amount of gameplay and enjoyment and time spent in Path of Exile than you would have if you had just forced a mechanic you weren't enjoying purely just for profit. Well, for me, that proposition doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so at least more recently, I'm more interested in finding mechanics that are enjoyable to me. If you have seen some of my farm strategy summary and review videos, I'm really trying to figure out what's the best median between enjoyment, profitability, longevity for strategies, things like that. So those are just a few quick things that I thought maybe some relatively newer players, or maybe even more veteran players like me who have spent a lot of time in the game over the last year or 2 years, you know, might be worth keeping in mind as you progress into this new league. And so I will be back very soon with another video, as I said, hopefully on some duo content. But depending on how things shape up, I may reprise my farm strategy summary and review guides, and we will see how it goes. And it is good to be back making content. I have missed the process of putting these videos together. So, yep, may all of your hits be critical and all of your drops be epic, and I will see you next time. I appreciate you.